Hi, everyone, and welcome to another Stories Inc. LinkedIn Learning session. My name is Bernadette Van Giesen, and I'm your host. If you are new here, Stories Incorporated is an employer brand content agency that specializes in employee storytelling, and we love to share what we've learned along the way here on LinkedIn. So thank you so much for being here. Today, we are talking about employee engagement and specifically how to drive employee engagement and retention with an employee engagement campaign powered by Employee Stories. We just launched a new guide all about this topic with templates, tips, and easy ways to get started on your own campaign. We're going to link to that in the comments, so make sure to grab that if you're interested in learning more about this topic beyond what we're going to talk about today. I'm joined by my colleague, Anna Lippi, who not only has managed quite a few employee engagement projects in her time here at Stories, but in her prior life was an internal comms pro. So she's kind of standing as our expert today. Hi, Anna. Thanks for being here.
Hi, Bernadette. Thanks for having me.
Yes, of course. I love having you on here. Can you take a minute to kind of introduce yourself and then maybe talk about your prior experience in internal communications?
Yeah, absolutely. So I am the Director of Customer Success at Stories. I co-lead our project team, making sure that our team has everything to be successful for our wonderful clients. Previously, I worked at a healthcare and education research and consulting firm. I was both a recruiter and worked in internal comms. So love this world and really excited to dive in today.
Yes, awesome. So kind of to set the scene a little bit, I just looked up like a formal definition of employee engagement, and it's defined as the level of enthusiasm and dedication a worker feels towards their job in your company. So super important, but also very high level, feels a little kind of like mushy, gray area, hard to define, hard to measure. So I also pulled some stats, and Gallup just actually launched their 2024 State of the Global Workplace yesterday, and they had some really great stats kind of connecting employee engagement to organizational outcomes. And so just thought I would share a couple of these to kind of kick us off. So they looked at companies that have high level of employee engagement and compared to companies with low levels of employee engagement. And they found that high engagement led to 51% lower turnover, 26% less shrinkage, which I thought was interesting, and then 63% less safety accidents. So kind of all of those, you're decreasing your negative outcomes. And then on the positive side of things, engagement was connected with 23% higher profitability, 10% higher customer loyalty, and 68% higher for employee well-being. So I share kind of all that to say, if you're out there wondering if you should be investing your efforts in employee engagement, you absolutely should be. Not only because I like to think it's the right thing to do, and I love that employee well-being piece, but you're also connecting to really, really powerful organizational outcomes like customer loyalty and profitability. Okay, so all this kind of brings us to employee engagement campaigns. Anna?
Yeah, absolutely. And those are some very telling stats. Thanks for sharing. So, employee engagement campaigns are the communication initiatives that really drive engagement and encourage employees to participate in company activities, goals, and really enhance the overall culture. So, what these campaigns look like, of course, varies based on your company or your organization and how you communicate with your people. But a lot of times we do see employee engagement campaigns come in the form of employee spotlight videos shared internally, employee newsletters, awards programs, and those are just, of course, to name a few.
Yeah, and we're going to share a couple of those examples later too. So to kind of get into the meat of our topic today, we're going to walk through the steps to creating an employee engagement campaign. And then at the end, Anna's going to share 2 examples from real campaigns that we have done with some of our clients to kind of tie in the title of our session today. These campaigns really delighted employees and had a ton of really positive feedback. So hopefully it'll inspire you to do this in your own organization. So to kind of pull ourselves up a little bit. There we go. Okay, so the first step to launching an employee engagement campaign is identifying your objective, which seems common sense, but even as a marketer myself who launches campaigns all the time, it sometimes can be easy just to jump into the meat of things. But it's really important to kind of take a beat and define the challenge that you're experiencing in your organization and then the objective that you're hoping to create. So Anna, what are some common culture problems that you are hearing from clients as they think about employee engagement?
Yeah, and it's a great point of kind of setting that foundation before you jump into the work. So there's a bunch of common culture problems we hear from our clients and those in the roles. The first is that employees can feel disconnected from the company purpose, mission, and culture. This can be true especially for those who are potentially internal focused and not client facing. So, really connecting them back to that bigger picture. The second is that employees can be hard to reach. So, not everybody um, consumes the same channels. And this is especially true as remote work and hybrid work becomes more common, and also with a deskless workforce. So, those who might be in manufacturing or roles that perhaps don't check their email. So, it can be harder to reach them in the same way that someone who is at their desk all day might be checking their email regularly. The third is some employees we know can feel unappreciated and stagnant, don't always know what paths for growth exist in their organization. And then the fourth is low participation in company events and programs. So we know that we want engaged employees who feel connected to the company and want to engage in all of the resources.
It's a really good list. And if anyone is listening live, I would love for you to jump in the comments and kind of like shout out if you're working towards any of these goals, because I think it's challenges that a lot of organizations share. And so once you've identified that problem, kind of connecting to how your campaign can then work toward the solution. So I think the one around employee appreciation is super important. I know that's going to be one of our examples later. So if that's something you're working towards that you feel like there's a lack of appreciation in your organization, maybe your campaign is going to be around rewards and recognition to address that problem. Okay, so that is step number one. Step number two, identifying internal stakeholders. So when you think about employee engagement, and if anyone is in these roles, again, like would love some interaction in the comments here, but you think about employer brand, internal communications, talent acquisition, people who are really, really directly with employee engagement. But when it comes to launching your campaign, you really don't want to operate in a silo. So you want to find other groups and people in your organization that you can align with, collaborate with, that are really going to help make your campaign a big success. So, outside of those like obvious groups there, Anna, what are some of the other stakeholders that you see people aligning themselves with and collaborating with on these projects?
Yeah, it's a great question. And as you alluded, there definitely are other groups internally that kind of one, share your pain points, and two, have kind of further insight and investment in the outcomes that you're trying to create. And so we've seen internal comms and employer brand stakeholders collaborating with everything from HR, benefits, and wellness, especially around big time sensitive launches. DEI is a big one. Labor relations for some of our clients, especially in kind of manufacturing type roles. Team departments and leads is another. And then another one that actually was important when I worked in internal comms was learning and development. So when I was in internal comms actually rolled up into learning and development, and our learning and development team actually created and executed the yearly employee engagement survey. So they were certainly very invested and a leader in employee engagement internally. I have one note as you partner with your with all of your stakeholders. Another important one to keep in mind is your external comms and social media team, since you might be repurposing content back and forth. If you have a great story, making sure it gets repurposed externally and vice versa. And just one note to, of course, make sure you're always meeting those brand standards, even if it's internal.
Yeah, that's a really good tip. And I just kind of want to call out something that you said there, that finding these groups that share your pain point and then can help you create a better outcome. So when you mentioned HR and benefits, if there's a new benefit rolling out, or maybe you're leading into open enrollment, like that could be a really, really great time to launch an employee engagement campaign and like find that point of contact in there that is super invested in getting people engaged in open enrollment, and then you can kind of collaborate on a campaign from there. So I think just like finding those groups and finding timeliness is always a really great call.
Exactly. Yep.
Okay. Step number 3, pick your channels. Super important. Because also as a content creator over here, sometimes you just want to like dive in, uncover those stories, create the content. But the best campaign is going to be when you pick the right content for the right channel. And so I'm going to share kind of a list of Here we go. So here's some channels, and it's something that I think is really interesting about employee engagement is your employees are engaging with your brand both internally and externally. So you don't just want to think about internally. They're also with you on social media. They are visiting your website. They are buying your products potentially. And so like there's all these different ways that your employees are engaging with your brand. So Anna, I'm just curious, out of this kind of list, what are some of these channels that jump out to you?
Yeah, this is a great list. And I utilized most, if not all of these when I was in internal comms. A few that stand out to me are the newsletter. So when I was in working in internal comms, I actually sent out an employee newsletter every Friday at 10 a.m. Eastern time. It was a great way to direct employees back to the internet and round up the week's stories in a digestible way. So we know that employees really need to get a message many times in many channels to take action or absorb the information. So that weekly newsletter was just a great way for us to kind of round out the week with that. And then another channel that I think is super important, both for employee engagement and really for sharing any of your content, is around social. So employees are just your biggest advocate and you're really your best brand ambassadors. And so they are likely already engaging with you in social. And so that is a really important channel for employee engagement.
Yeah, I know something that we see a lot with our clients is when they're sharing the content on social media, like employees get really, really excited about it. So I think just like keeping that in mind and even using your like internal channels to prompt your external channels too. Like you can share on Slack or something like that, like a link to your company post on LinkedIn or on Facebook, and just making it easy for people to find the stuff and engage with you is just a good thing to think about when you're thinking about your channels.
Totally.
Okay. Okay, so step 4, we've identified our challenge, aligned internally, picked our channels, and then our favorite part here at Stories, creating the content. So as I mentioned, like when you want to create the content that is specific to the channel that you're selecting, but also that can be repurposed across a lot of other channels too.
Exactly.
So Anna, can you kind of talk about some of the different types of content that you see really work well for employee engagement?
Absolutely. So, I can share a few examples. So, when we think about a town hall or a live event, which for many in internal comms is, a huge lift, there's usually a longer attention span. So, longer form compilation video is a great option for an event or a town hall. At my former employer, this was a really big deal, the yearly in-person town hall. On the other hand, a newsletter is going to, of course, rely more on written content. Blogs with photos might perform better. Just a side note, when I was in internal comms, we would include kind of people-centered content, which we called people profiles, and that tended to do had some of the best engagement when folks saw their colleagues and read personal stories about their colleagues. There was so much engagement, likes, comments, clicks, all of that, because we were sharing stories about real people who worked there. So definitely lots of opportunities to do employee storytelling in a written form across any of these channels, but especially the internet and newsletters.
Yeah, awesome. And yeah, I think no matter what type of content you create, whether it's video, written content, social graphics for social media, just making sure that employee stories and the experiences of your people are at the heart of that is going to make your campaign perform better than if you're just kind of sharing generic prompts. So it's like definitely worth the lift to interview people, uncover those stories, and put that at the heart of your campaign.
And same in the town hall for the video content that was employee story based. That also tended to just get the most excitement and most kind of energy in the room when there was employee content in the live town hall also. So definitely, to your point, regardless of channel, written, video, we can leverage those employee stories.
Okay, and then kind of our last step here to launching an amazing employee engagement campaign is measuring your impact. So identifying KPIs and metrics in advance that you're going to measure, but then sometimes some pop up along the way and impact that you're creating that you didn't even realize you're going to. But Anna, can you list a few different metrics and ways that our clients are measuring the success of these campaigns?
Yeah, for sure. Happy to. So a few ways our clients measure the success of their campaign include video views and engagement, internet page views and time spent on the page, clicks on links or calls to action, new program signups, event registration, and then potentially social shares by team members. So those are just some of those ways to measure success.
Yeah, and to kind of go back to the benefits kind of example earlier that we gave, I know for one of our projects, they launched an engagement campaign around mental health,
Mhm.
and they were able to see that from the videos, they drove more than 5,000 visits to like a well-being hub on their intranet, like as a direct result of that campaign. So just like seeing something like that, that's a metric that shows impact. And then as you look to create these campaigns in the future, you can point to those metrics and say, like, see, like this really worked, and will help you kind of create more campaigns in the future too. Awesome. Yeah, that's a great list. Okay, so a lot of that is really great high level info. So this five steps to launching a campaign, but would love to look at some real examples, Anna. So I think you picked two that you think our audience today can really benefit from learning more about.
Yeah, I'm excited for this. So I'll share one more evergreen campaign that I love, and then one really innovative campaign that I've worked on over the past few years and definitely excited to share.
Awesome. Yeah, so let's start with the evergreen campaign. Can you tell
Perfect.
us about it?
Yeah, perfect. So this first campaign was with a global automotive company. The challenge they were facing was, despite the manufacturing team members really being the driving force behind building the vehicles, most people actually didn't really know their stories and they weren't being recognized in a big way. So their internal communications lead came up with the idea of what we call Meet the Makers, where we visited 6 different manufacturing sites around the US and Canada and interviewed 26 plus manufacturing team members from all walks of life across all roles, personal and professional backgrounds. We even interviewed a father-son together who have worked at the same company, which was pretty special. From those interviews, we created 26 employee spotlights, one per employee, and they turned out so awesome. The client really let the personalities of the storytellers shine, and the videos celebrated who they were as people as much as it celebrated the work that they were doing building the vehicles. So when you're driving your car, you might not be thinking who is actually creating the foundation of this car, putting all the pieces together, but this campaign really brought some of those people into the spotlight.
Yeah, and I love these videos so much. They like make me so happy to see them. And we're gonna link to the whole playlist in the comments if you want to look through and watch them. And something you said there that I just want to reiterate is I think this client really did a good job of letting the personalities kind of come out in the videos, and it really was like celebrating the people, and it really just came through in a really authentic way. So that was kind of creating all the content, identifying the challenge, and all that good stuff. Can you talk a little bit more about how the campaign was distributed?
Yeah, definitely. So the videos were initially shared internally and they were primarily housed in the intranet. But knowing that a lot of these team members weren't closely checking their email, the company shared the videos using QR codes on monitors throughout the manufacturing sites, which is a pretty cool idea. After the videos were shared internally, they were also shared on the company YouTube page and LinkedIn. And they saw a lot of success both internally and externally. So that's everything from the videos increased traffic on the internet, especially in featured sites. There were 15,000 plus cumulative video views on YouTube, which is pretty amazing. And we just got really great feedback by company leaders, participants, employees. So this was a very impactful campaign and really made the employees feel recognized, appreciated, and they were able to share, their authentic experience.
Yeah, and like I love seeing the spike in internet traffic from the featured sites, because I think that points back to something you said earlier, that people like love to see their colleagues being featured. And so I think like when you know the person who's in the videos, you're even more likely to go in and engage. So I think that's like an interesting stat that points that out.
Yeah, 100%.
Awesome. Yeah. So yeah, that's a really great example of kind of a behind the scenes, featuring the people behind the work campaign that you really can do anytime. And I'll actually point out this client actually is continuing to do this campaign, a year later, that they saw such success that there's a lot of value in doing this kind of work all the time and like always spotlighting the people behind your work. Okay. So great kind of evergreen example. Can you share a second example here?
For sure. So the other campaign, internally, we kind of call surprise and delight, and it's adding a surprise engagement to your employee awards programs. Um, and so this is sort of a unique one where over the past few years, we've partnered with a leading video game developer and publisher to create videos for their annual core value awards. And the challenge they were facing was that they really wanted to generate more excitement and engagement and just make these awards extra special and memorable for both the winners, but really for the entire company. And so one thing that is kind of exciting about these was incorporating a dramatic surprise element. And our goal was to surprise employees every year with their award. But what's extra challenging is that the surprise has to change every year so employees aren't suspicious of why we're filming them. So in 2023, we interviewed the award winners under the guise of a culture video. And then midway through the interview, their team walked in into the room we were filming with balloons, confetti, cake to surprise the winner. We captured all of this on video. And then after the reveal, we filmed a heartfelt conversation between the winner and their manager, really capturing the moment because the winner just found out that they won this important award, and the manager speaking to all of their impact across the company. And I will say, seeing kind of the combination of someone finding out that they won by confetti cannons and then hearing all of the ways that they impact the company is just so emotional and just a beautiful moment.
Yeah, I love these videos so much, and we're gonna link to kind of like a behind the scenes video so you can kind of see what it looks like having like a manager and award winner talking on camera. But I think, and you kind of alluded to this earlier, but this kind of campaign is so powerful because it created this really powerful moment for the award winner that you can just think if this happened to you, like how engaged, appreciated you would feel. And then to then share that moment with the rest of the company, it just makes people feel so engaged in the process and excited for that person. And they're reminded like how important their work is too, and kind of like all the ripple effects that you hope that these kind of campaigns have. This one really did.
It's a huge engagement lever. And for this particular campaign, what's kind of unique about it is that we actually replicated that whole process 10 times. So each person, each winner got this special interview, the special surprise, the conversation with their manager. And then the final videos are actually shown during a company-wide award ceremony teed up by the company leader. So just huge visibility and kind of like, huge emphasis on this core value award. So it really speaks to the company and then to the individual winners.
Awesome. Yeah, another great example. Okay, I think that's all kind of we have today. Thank you so much, Anna. This has been so informative.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me. And if you have wanted to continue the conversation around internal comms, employee engagement, anything along these topics, please reach out. I'd love to continue the conversation. So thank you for your time. And thanks, Bernadette.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, thanks everyone for tuning in. We do these sessions on Thursdays on LinkedIn, and we would love to have you back. If you have any questions about StorySync, please reach out. We also have a wonderful newsletter that we would love for you to join. So we'll link to that in the comments too. Okay, see you next time, everybody.
Bye.